Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you are curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. Welcome, everyone. I'm Chatty, I'm currently full of cold, and this is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I'm going to be chatting away madly about my July stats. I have them all here, all of my physical books. I've got my handy notebook because otherwise I will forget everything. And I have my tiny teacup so I can do my Guinness. So cheers, everyone. Clink, clink, clink. There could be chaos, there could be waffle, not wassail, but I'm going to try and keep all of that to a minimum. So I'm currently filming this in October. It's been a long time since July. Back when I was doing videos in July, I was still intending to have some sort of reward and punishment system, and I'm no longer doing that. I'm just reading books and seeing what happens. But I still enjoy a TBR and seeing if I read that or if I went rogue. But I'm not putting a reward and punishment on it because basically I was just punishing myself all the time because I was trying to encourage myself to do Storygraph and I just haven't. It's just one of those, that's the thing that goes. There's a lot I'm trying to cram into my weeks and things, and sadly I am just not physically able to write my thoughts down on Storygraph. I want to, but it's just not happening, so I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to do it. So if you are interested in what my TBR was for July, and you want to see the game that I played, I will put a link here so you can go and check that out. I will just do a quick run through. So I chose 8 books for my July TBR, and there was just 2 that I didn't manage to read in July. One was Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, which I got from a theme card which was fire on the cover. I have since read that one, and the other was, I think I read that in August, and the other was Jamie by L.D. Lipinski, and it's one of those books that I'm just saving for that perfect reading moment, and it just wasn't going to happen in July. I was going to be squeezing it in, and I didn't want that to happen to Jamie. I want to relish Jamie and enjoy Jamie, so I didn't read Jamie. And that was a 30-second prompt for expanding my horizons, reading a book with an LBTQ plus character that was a protagonist. So everything else I did read, and that was Sprinkle of Sourcery by Michelle Harrison, and that was my map mashup where I rolled and did 2 prompts on the Journey-a-thon map and then mashed them together to choose a book fitting both of those prompts, and Sprinkle of Sorcery fitted both the magical prompt and the magical artifact prompt, so that worked well. I then had Onyeka as part of the series Spin to continue with that series. So Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebles by Tola Okaguru I did also read. And then I got a Feagle card, meaning I got to steal a book from under my bed, and for that I had Mark Oshira's The Insiders, which I read. I then had another 30-second prompt, which was an epic book, and I chose Zachary Ying and The Dragon Emperor by Ziran J. Zhao. And then I had another series spin, I can't say it tonight, and that was the Crackledawn Dragon by Abby Elphinstone. And then I had another 30-second prompt, which was an animal companion, and I chose Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Tenuous link, but there's a lot of animal companions, one of which is the White Rabbit, so I thought that kind of worked. And that was the last one. So other books that I have on here that I haven't mentioned are the Lizzie and Belle mysteries, Portraits and Poison by J.T. Williams. And then Heartstopper volumes 1, 2 and 3 by Alice Oseman, This Vicious Grace by Emily Thende, and Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. So I have 12 books here, which is a really good reading month. Journey-a-thon was one of the readathons that I was doing that month, and I also had a couple of buddy reads as well, but generally it was a very middle grade heavy month. So let's dive right into these book sizes. I have 6 mouse-sized books. So mouse-sized is a book that is between 150 and 300 pages. Alice in Wonderland was so close to being an ant-sized book, which is below 150 pages, but it comes out 157, although I think this copy has a lot more pages, but the general kind of Alice in Wonderland you get is that many. I then have Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebels, the Crackledawn Dragon, and I don't know how many pages are in the Heartstoppers, but they are a graphic novel, so they just count as mouse size because they are just so quick and easy to read. I then have 5 cow-sized books, which are Good Omens, Sprinkle of Sourcery, Portraits and Poisons, Zachary, Ying, and The Insiders. And then I have 1 cow-size. This is the biggest book I read this month, and it is this Vicious Grace. In terms of age ranges, I have 3 YA, that is the 3 Heartstopper books and this Vicious Grace. I have 1 adult book, which is Good Omens, and then I have 7 middle grade books, which was to be expected because I was doing a middle grade readathon. And as one of my goals is to be having a third of what I read being middle grade, I obviously smashed this one, but I should have been as the readathon was middle grade based, so yay go me. All of the books were novels apart from 3 graphic novels, which are the Heartstopper series, so that means I read 9 novels. And then I have 5 rereads. So that is Good Omens, Alice in Wonderland, and the Heartstoppers. And then I have 7 new reads. So quite a good mixture of new and old. So the new is Sprinkle of Sourcery, Portraits and Poison, Zachary, Ying, The Insiders, Crackledawn, Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebels, and This Vicious Grace. 10 of these books are my books that I own, which are these 10 here. And then I have 2 library books, Crackledawn, The Crackledawn Dragon, and Zachary and the Dragon Emperor. So did pretty well reading what I owned this month. So in terms of series, I finished 1 series, which is the Unmapped Chronicles. The Crackledawn Dragon is the 4th book in that series, so that series is now all done. I made progress with another series, which is A Sprinkle of Sourcery, part of the Pinch of Magic series. This is book 2. I am now up to date on some series as well. So I am up to date in the Lizzie and Belle mystery series, with Portrait and Poisons being the latest release. And I am up to date in the Onyeka series, with The Rise of the Rebels being the latest release. Both are book 2s. I do not know if there are going to be any more books in the Lizzie and Belle mysteries. I really, really hope so. But at the moment, it does feel like it's very much kind of set out as a duology. We have had Drama and Danger focusing on the theatre, and Portraits and Poisons focusing on art. And each of those books was done by the main character. So we have Belle, Dido Belle's focus in Portrait and Poisons, and we have Lizzie Sancho's focus in Drama and Danger. So I don't know if we're going to get another, but I really, really hope so because I love this series. Onyeka, we are definitely going to be getting another book in the series. I don't know how many are planned, but there will be another Onyeka book coming out soon. Also excitingly, Onyeka has got a World Book Day book, which if you get a book voucher, you can swap it in a bookshop to get one of those free little books, and we are going to be getting an Onyeka one with this year, which I'm really excited about. I then have 2 new series I've started, which is okay, not amazing in terms of keeping my series down, but okay, which is This Vicious Grace and Zachary, Ying and the Dragon Emperor. However, they also count as up to date. So technically I've got 4 series which are now up to date, but it is cheating because there's only 1 book out so far in the Zachary Ying series, and only 1 book out so far in this duology. At the time of reading, that was correct. However, now I do think This Cursed Light is out. I have ordered a Fairy Loot copy and I have yet to receive it. I'm hoping we are going to be getting it soon. It should be on its way. And then I will be hopefully finishing that duology. Although I might wait until the summery months because this is very much a summery book with all of those Italian island vibes. So looking at what I am reading, I have got 8 books which were white Eurocentric. Good Omens, Heartstopper 1, 2, 3, A Sprinkle of Sourcery, The Crackledawn Dragon, Alice in Wonderland, and This Vicious Grace. And then I have 4 books which are global majority. So I have The Insiders by Marcus Shiro. I have Portraits and Poisons by J.T. Williams, Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebels by Tolo Okaguru, and Zachary Ying and the Dragon Empire by Ziran J. Zhao. So one of my goals is to have that I'm reading half global majority. And and there are some months where I do better than others. So this is not good, this is not hitting my goal. But my September and October and August were not that good. So by comparison, July actually kind of comes out as a third being global majority, which is kind of better than what I have been doing, because it's been very much kind of a quarter or less, which is really not where I want it. So I will accept a third. I want it to be half, but a third is acceptable. In terms of genres, I have 7 fantasy books. Not a surprise, fantasy is my favourite genre. So yeah, over half is my favourite genre. So that is Good Omens, Zachary, Ying, Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebles, which also has some sci-fi elements in it too. A Sprinkle of Sourcery, The Crackledawn Dragon, Alice in Wonderland and This Vicious Grace. I read 3 contemporary books, which are the Heartstoppers series. I read 1 historical mystery, so historical fiction plus a mystery novel as well, all in the one book, and 1 magical realism. So this does have very much kind of contemporary vibes, and there is just one aspect of the story which has got a magical element to it, but it definitely feels more kind of around contemporary stuff than it does the magic side of things. So definitely magical realism in this one. So looking at if I'm reading more diversely, I have 5 out of the 12 books with an LGBTQ plus protagonist. Obviously the Heartstopper series have got a whole cast of queer characters in here. Specifically our protagonists are gay and bi. We also have, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. I do apologise for your ears, that came out really squeaky. The protagonist in This Vicious Grace is bisexual, and in The Insiders we have a gay character, a lesbian character and a non-binary character. I also have read from 2 trans authors this month. So I have Ziran J. Zhao and Mark Ashiro, who are both non-binary authors. So yay, more trans author publications is what we want. I didn't read anything that was specifically neurodivergent this month, but there was very much a mental health storyline in Heartstopper 3. So we have some mental health representation in here. In terms of physical disability, I have 2 out of the 12 books with physical disability representation, and that is The Crackledawn Dragon by Abby Elphinstone. It was done really, really well, and I absolutely loved the representation in this book. And we also have in Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebles. The character has much more of a bigger role. So we meet a character in the first book who is Onyeka's best friend from home, but she also makes an appearance in this book, and she is more prominent in this book. I still say like Onyeka is the protagonist, but she's very much one of like the main character, one of the main kind of like secondary characters in this book, so I'm definitely counting it here. So in terms of the global majority, I read 2 books by Black authors, which is Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebels and Portraits and Poisons. I read Zachary Ying, which is by an Asian author, and I read The Insiders, which is by a Latin American author. So that's all my stats. I'm pretty happy with the kind of array of reading I did this month. I read a lot of really good books, and it's so nice to see sort of more diverse representation coming through. It is something that is really important that I find I reflect in my books. I think it's really great at kind of enlarging your empathy and just really appreciating kind of the wider world. So I'm now going to be going on to my least favourite book. And I didn't dislike any of my books. I had a brilliant reading month. I really enjoyed all my books. But I think my least favourite, and this doesn't mean it's a bad book, it just means I enjoyed the others even more, which means I had a fantastic reading month. And I feel like a traitor to my own channel, but I think my least favourite, it has to go to Alice in Wonderland. And that's just because all the other books are just so good. They're just so good. So this was probably my least favourite, but I still really enjoyed my reread of it. I had forgotten, well, I don't even know if I was aware, because I think I very much read Alice in Wonderland as a child, like how much I don't think I kind of appreciated how funny I found it. Just like the little, some of the things Alice says, and she's not being aware that she's funny, but as an adult reading it, you find her funny. I also had a wonderful time with this one because it's packed full of beautiful illustrations. Here we go. We've got Alice here talking to some animals in the garden. So yeah, lovely copy, lovely book, but just the stories that I experienced in all the other books were just phenomenal. So yeah, I'm sorry, Alice. I'm very sorry, but you were my least favourite this month. Now, with my favourite of the month, I do not count rereads in that, because I think rereads you get a completely different experience from, because you are reading it for another time, so you're picking up on other things. And I think if it's a book that you have been inclined to reread, it's something that you have enjoyed previously, and then you kind of get another experience of it, but knowing other things that have happened. So I don't include those in my favourite one, which has helped to narrow the field somewhat. But I still have to pick two, and I think I feel slightly surprised at what I actually have picked as my favourites, because I love the books I read. I had such a good reading month. Obviously, middle grade is one of my favourite age ranges to read, and I read a lot of that, and the books were fantastic, and I had the best time. But I have to go for these two as my two favourites of the month. And that is The Crackledawn Dragon by Abby Elphinstone and The Insiders by Marco Shiro. And I think what kind of pushed these out from the rest of the bunch for me was just, I think, the emotional connections I had with these books. I think that's what kind of sways books into my favourite. If I've had quite a strong emotional reaction when reading them, it definitely kind of pushes them up my favourite lists. This series I had a fantastic time with, the Unmapped Chronicles, and it absolutely ended in such an amazing way. There were so many moments I was really tearful in this book. Just the heartwarmingness, the stories of the two protagonists. They both have very different trials to bear. I think what's wonderful with this series is that Abby Elphinstone really focuses, you get new protagonists for each book, and each of those protagonists has to kind of overcome something within themselves, and it's just so warm and important, and the messages of love and just like your own qualities and things are just so fantastic, and the side characters were amazing, and all of the heavy emotional stuff was really balanced by adorable, funny fairy tale bits, not fairy tale, fantasy bits and pieces, you know, just like magical items or just like silly things. And it was just such a warm book. I also really loved that we met previous characters from before in this one, and just I got emotional from their journey as well, and there was just a lot of emotion, and it was gorgeous and wonderful, and I had an amazing time. And The Insiders, again, it was an exploration of kind of children's identity and strength and overcoming adversity, and just the power of the found family. And it was just a really warm-hearted, wonderful book that showed being able to overcome sort of bullying, adult as well as children, and just the support of friendship and the support of not only standing up to people that are hurting you, but also standing up to people that don't have your back, that should have your back. And I just thought it was really well done. And again, there was a balance of sort of like lower moments that hurt with much brighter, happier moments and fun moments. And I just think Marco Shiro just did a brilliant job, and I had high hopes for this, and they were absolutely met, and I really loved this book. So yeah, these two were my favourites of the month. So these are some of the best out of an amazing month of reading. So there we go. That is all of my stats for July. I'm not going to ask what you read in July, because that would be crazy, because that's like such a long time ago. But do share any of your thoughts on any of these books, or as it's predominantly middle grade, tell me some of the amazing middle grade books that you have read recently. I always love to hear about amazing middle grade books. And if middle grade books are something you enjoy, then please do check out my Discord. It's called Middle Grade Mad Chat, and it is a Discord that is really kind of devoted to middle grade books and appreciating middle grade books and having a place where other people are going to enjoy middle grade books as well. So the link for that is in the description box below, as are the links for all of the books that I have mentioned in this video. Please do have a little chat down below, give your thoughts and opinions on these, and let me know what you're reading at the moment that you've really enjoyed. I do love a chat. Happy reading, everyone.